welcome to another episode of Nerds Amalgamated. I am the DJ, and with me today I have Devi Boy and the Professor. How are you two gentlemen going?
Pretty good. We're definitely recording this on a Thursday night.
Oh, they know. We told them.
They know.
Oh, damn.
We told them we were going to be late.
Yep.
Because I went camping. and
I
fell down a riverbank and hurt myself.
What?
Yeah, so I was out at Christmas Creek on the weekend. And there was a bit of the riverbank that was too steep for me to climb up by myself. So my friends were all trying to pull me up, so they're great big enormous turnip style. And then they lost their grip on me. I lost my grip on the branch I was hanging onto, and I fell back down the riverbank and rolled almost into the river.
Do you not understand physics?
I do understand physics, but I was pretty desperate to get out of there, because I don't want to spend the rest of my life in a creek.
Go back to Monkey, man.
Did anyone record this?
Unfortunately, no, and I wish they had, because it was a great fall.
See, it would be a great fall if this was on TikTok.
I mean, I said it would win Funniest Home Videos, but then someone reminded me that hasn't been a thing for a few years.
How about yourself, Debbie Boy? What have you been up to?
Oh, not too much, really. Just mainly relaxing, enjoying the holidays.
Yeah, speaking of holidays, it's how many days before Christmas again? Like,
don't
come on, it's not the holidays yet. You can do the maths.
Opens the Windows calendar. This is we have 3 weeks remaining. Currently 20-something days.
I was actually at 17, but close enough.
Shit. The brain's not functioning right now, man. I can't do quick math.
Oh man, so yeah, it's insane how many people are shopping now more than ever.
Yeah, I wonder if the crazy shopping is going to be extended at all because of people not wanting to go when it's crowded, or if it's going to be less because people are buying online. I know Black Friday this year in America had a smaller than expected turnout.
Yeah, I was thinking it would be a much more calm affair for the lineup because of coronavirus and how everyone should practice social distancing, that kind of thing.
Yeah, people aren't going to do that.
Yeah, that's true.
Which kind of makes sense. People feel safe here these days because we don't have many cases in Australia, but we should still be, trying not to get sick. And if people want to stay away from me more, that's totally cool.
But speaking of people staying away from each other and whatnot, Professor, you've got a story about Metro.
They don't stay away from each other in that. They all get close together and go underground because there's not a lot of room down there.
Yeah, but they die much more quicker when they stay together, though.
Well, also no, because in the book they make it clear that you should travel in the tunnels in a big group because then you're less likely to be taken by whatever mysterious thing is going on there. No.
Just stay in a group of two and have, what's his name? The spiritual guide?
Han.
Just have Han come through. This tunnel speaks to me.
I mean, that is literally one chapter in the book. The other people want to go one way and Khan says, go this way. And everyone, a little while later, they hear everyone else dying.
Oh, beautiful.
Yeah, but 4A, the developers behind the Metro games, is having having their 10th anniversary this week. And they originally inspired by the original online draft of the book. Dimitry released it for free, so you can go and download a PDF of the book right now and check it out. And I like it. It's different from the games, but it's still worth checking out. But so the founders of 4A came from GSC Game World, who developed Stalker.
Yeah, and there's an interesting history behind the Stalker and 4A's Avengers because there was a fun legal battle at the time. Well, because it was a mess between engines and coders. And if you want to get a better video, there's lots of videos online on YouTube you can watch to check it out. But the company history being over in, is it Ukraine, the base?
Yeah.
Ukraine, yeah. It's like the story of how they actually got the publishing with who was it? What company died? THQ? Yeah, THQ.
You mean Stalker or Metro?
Metro, because it was basically what happened was I think one of THQ's like managers, I believe it was, came down. He was helping Stalker at the time, and then he was walking around the booths, and basically one conversation happened, and now he was like, I can't remember fully. Like,
you should have done the refresher course.
I know, right? Let me find the video. I'll just.
Yeah, so the original story comes from basically a blog post. It's the same way The Martian was originally published, but Dimitry wrote Metro 2033 way back in 2002, and it took until 2010 for the game to come out. And in that time, so in the last 15 years, since 18 years if you want to go from the original book, there are a total of 3 Metro stories, one American story set in America by the same author called The Outpost, and a number of, there's a whole bunch of them now, but they're called the Universe of Metro 2033 stories. There's also the comic, The Gospel According to Artyom, which is also by Dimitry, and goes between 2033 and 2034. But after 2033, the games diverged from the books, so they're inspired by them, but and share some elements. But there's, it's quite a bit different, especially towards Exodus. And Glukowski has said he's not going to make any more books, but he will keep writing for the games, which brings us into the next bit. 4A have just announced that there will be a 4th Metro game.
That's going to be fun.
Yeah, well, I mean, now they've got the open world stuff going, I wonder if they could... What I really wanted from a Metro open world game was Moscow itself, where you get given missions and travel between the stations, and you have to decide, do you take the tunnels or do you go overland to avoid the Nazis or something like that?
I mean, with the amount of world building that the author is bringing up, I think it's a possibility.
Yeah. Dimitry has done a lot of world building. He was actually originally inspired by the Fallout games, which is why it's sort of funny that he's now written an American book. Well, yeah, The Outpost, which is an American book in the universe.
I hope he didn't play Fallout 76.
No, I don't know if he would. But the other thing that's funny about that is that there's so the game actually, one of the DLCs of Exodus is one of the characters who's an American who got stuck he was an embassy guard who got stuck in the metro when the bombs fell, and he decides, they've come this far, he might as well keep going. I haven't played it yet, but I'd be interested to see if he gets to America and they show what happened in America in the games. But there is going to be a movie. There will be a Metro movie. They're announcing it. I think they're planning to release it January 1st, 2022. So just over a year away now. But the original movie plans, he's been working with different companies for a few years now. The original movie plan was to transplant it to Washington, D.C. And Dimitri was just like, no effing way. Yeah, so he reckons you can't have Nazis or communists in America. But, maybe not the communists, but I reckon you could get the Nazis.
Yeah, a Metro movie, though. I mean, Monster Hunter just recently came out, and that's a shit show.
I think Metro works, though, as a movie. Because Monster Hunter is high fantasy, right? So it's like, and movies have been very good at doing high fantasy. At least the directors and Hollywood users. Like, obviously, Lord of the Rings and things, they're good examples, but you know what I mean? It's easy to go over the top. But I think
it's being done by a Russian company, though. I haven't seen any Russian movies recently, so I don't know what they're good at.
True. I mean, can't be any bad than Hollywood, can it?
Yeah. So he also made the point that there's a lot of black people in Washington, and although the Dark Ones are a metaphor for xenophobia, he doesn't really want to make that connection.
See, that's the dangers of sending in your IP into Hollywood.
Yeah, and from a surface level, you'd think, capital city, nuclear war, underground train system, and then there's the secret government trains. Not so secret anymore. We know they're there, but there are government trains. I'm pretty sure we know anyway. the Metro 2 in Moscow and the government subway in Washington. So sort of the surface elements are there, but that would have completely ruined it.
Do you reckon the Metro series are trying to copy the Witcher series in terms of how they're trying to expand the universe and whatnot? No,
Dimitri's been expanding it for years. He basically made it open. Anyone can apply to write a book in the universe. So So even though there's only 3 books by Dimitry and the 3 games and the comic, there's tons and tons of books in other universes or other cities, which are all quite popular from what I've heard. So he's been expanding it for over a decade now. The first universe story was Road Signs, which came out in 2009, which I think was before 2034 was translated to English. Because unfortunately, we have to wait a few years for it to come across.
So I got questions. Does Metro Last Light line up with the other books in the series? Because Last Light was written for the game itself.
Yeah,
it wasn't originally a book.
The 3 books, there's 2033, which is close to one-to-one with the game.
Mm-hmm.
The game's obviously more action-oriented. In the book, Artyom only fires his gun like twice. Actually, a couple more times he fights some mutants. But yeah, he only uses the gun a few times, and the game is full of shooting. Then 2034 is actually, I'm pretty sure, I haven't read it yet. It's about a different character. Then 2035 brings it back in with the Last Light story. And then he's decided he's not going to write any more books. So the games can go wherever he wants them to.
Yeah, it gives him a lot of options, doesn't it? There! Gives him a lot of options to go where he wants to take the story, wherever he wants, really. Because it's like, he's not, unlike a lot of writers, written himself into like a wall. It's like, oh, I don't know where I can take this now. But he's got a whole world to expand on.
Oh, yeah.
And now we know canonically in Exodus, you can leave the Metro. So you could have stories like, I'm kind of hoping the one of the sequel hooks for Exodus is sort of back to the Metro. And I'm kind of hoping that story gets told. But you could tell the story of more people living out in the, outside Moscow, find out how they handled the war and Moscow going silent.
Yeah, definitely. Because come on, the Metro is safe, but it's not exactly safe.
Yeah, it's a pretty terrible place to raise a child. There's
Mommy, what's
rats.
that sound?
You just know some kid's going to see an anomaly and go, ooh, pretty, and run off and get zapped.
What are we having for dinner, Mom? Rat.
Yeah, that's pretty much how the book goes. It's sort of ironic they eat the rats. At the beginning of Metro 2033, in the book, they explain that that Artyom was one of the few survivors of a rat infestation in his home station. So Artyom and his uncle, well, not uncle. Okay, here's something that some people don't get about Exodus. You meet a little kid who calls you uncle, and I've seen a review where they're like, this doesn't make sense. I've known her for 5 minutes. But the reason is that in Russia, uncle is sort of like a bit of an honorific for a man you know and respect. So, yeah, Artyom and his stepfather escape the rats, but his mother gets eaten.
Oh, fun.
So, yeah, that's like first couple of chapters. They explain that. And
hey, guys, let's live in the Metro. We're going to have massive air vents everywhere. Oh, don't worry. Nothing's going to crawl them. It's fine.
Yeah, if you survive the Nosalises, there's the anomalies. There's the thing in the Kremlin. There's D6, which is full of bioweapons. And then there's the Dark Ones, who want to reach out to you but will accidentally kill you because they can't control their psychic powers. Look, the Metro's not great. Outside the Metro's not great. Let's just try not to have a nuclear war because neither option's great.
Look on the bright side. At least it's better than living in a submarine.
Yeah, they do mention that in the book, that there might be a couple of submarines still going around.
But here's the question, though. Are they better than the Chinese submarines?
One thing before we move on, DJ. Nice segue, but one thing to go. The scariest thing about their next Metro game, multiplayer.
Oh, what? But here's the thing that multiplayer could work though. I mean, look at Gears of War with the multiplayer option. Well,
it could. There is a way to do multiplayer well in Metro. Whether that's to have the, a separate cooperative story, or they say that it won't prevent them from doing single player stories. So, they're still figuring it out and experimenting. But I really want to see what they do because I trust them to pull it off right. But they promise it's not going to be a box tick like, do you remember Spec Ops: The Line? Yeah, it has this really, really intense storyline and then has a multiplayer mode just because the publisher said they had to. Well, are you excited, Debbie?
Oh, definitely. I definitely want more games and series, so bring it at me.
Yeah. Did you ever finish Last Light?
No, I haven't started yet.
Shame. You got to catch up.
I want to save it until I feel in the right mood.
Yeah, me too. That's why it took me so long to get to Exodus, even though it's been out for a little while.
Well, you can enjoy all that in a lovely Chinese submarine.
DJ, you gone quiet again?
Oh yeah, that's true. You can enjoy all that in a lovely Chinese submarine where you can live stream footage in a new manned submersible parked at the bottom of the Mariana Trench.
So can I live stream that footage right now?
Possibly.
You're supposed to know what's in your articles, DJ.
Yeah, they have live streamed the footage of the submersible parking underneath the Mariana Trench. So the submarine name, which is the Fendouzhe or Striver, descended more than 10,000 meters into the submarine trench in the Western Pacific Ocean with 3 researchers on board. So only a handful of people have visited this, and it's deeper than Mount Everest, and it's more than 2,550 kilometers long.
It's a big hole. Like, you think the Grand Canyon's big. That's nothing compared to the Mariana Trench. They didn't quite set the world record, though.
Nah, they didn't. Oh, it did. Actually, earlier this month it set the national record, though.
Yeah, which is 20 meters short of an American record from 2019.
Yeah.
Kinda surprised China didn't really push it just to beat that. Like, being in a submarine is scary because it's underwater and anything goes wrong, you die. Being in a submarine that far underwater, there's so much more that can go wrong.
What is that classic line? In space, no one can hear you scream.
Yeah, in the Mariner Deep, no one will hear you scream because you will be crushed instantly. But deep ocean exploration is cool.
Yeah, but it's cool how they do it. That it was all video, live video from the trench. I mean,
yeah, there's not a whole lot of what we'd recognize instantly as life down there, but no one's been down there to really look for it. So you see, there's single cell life, but not much large stuff. But you can't find it if you're not looking. So go and look. This is where we find the aliens.
It came from the abyss. It came from the abyss. But
I bet it's also going to be part of research into deep sea mining.
Yeah. And Beijing this month will be setting up a joint training and research center with the International Seabed Authority, which will train professionals on deep sea technology as well as researching mining for valuable materials at the bottom of the ocean. Is expected to set standards for China's future deep sea vessels. Oh, that's going to be fun.
So, what I'm also thinking of here, there's community projects to build rockets. How long until there's an open source deep sea drone? The difficulty is control is much harder in the ocean because the water absorbs basically any sort of radio control you might use.
Not only that, though, the turbulence in water is more unpredictable than in the sky.
Yeah, I guess it could be. Although if there's a storm on the surface, a submarine goes down because the storm won't disturb the water. But if there is some sort of storm underwater, it would be more likely to push you around because the water's denser.
Yeah. There's also the probability that you might get some interference from creatures like squids and whatnot.
Yeah, squid. They're so smart, but so delicious.
Calamari.
Yep. Same with octopus. I have a theory. The more intelligent something is, the better it tastes.
Oh, Hi, fellow human.
Gonna get me some of that Hawking jerky. But seriously, octopus, pigs, and there's the idea that human tastes like pig based on what the cannibal tribes said.
Oh, lovely.
Yeah.
I think you freaked Devi Boy out.
Don't worry, I'm not gonna eat you. Otherwise, I'd be left alone with DJ again.
Oh, we can't have that, can we?
Yeah, but then the bright side is you'll be going on Reddit. You'll be going on Reddit making AMAs, saying like, "What was the experience like eating Devi Boy?"
There's actually that guy on Reddit who did an AMA about eating his foot.
Really?
Yeah,
That
he
was
lost
a
it in a
thing?
motorcycle accident and was allowed to take it home and decided, you know, I'm going to get some friends around and we're going to make a bit of a meal out of it. So they had foot taco.
Oh.
Anyway, so we're overfishing the surface water. Let's see what we can find at the bottom to eat.
Well, I will say this. I hope we can find some very, very rare comic books down in wrapped in plastic down in the bottom of the ocean.
Okay, then.
So, legendary X-Men writer Chris Claremont, the greatest living book writer in existence, he wrote stories such as the Uncanny X-Men, and also wrote the Dark Phoenix saga, The Days of Future Past, and also collaborated with John Brain. He developed the character Wolverine into a fan favorite. He recently stopped by Reddit's r/comic books community for an AMA. And he was approached by some very interesting questions. So one question that was asked was, are there any Marvel characters he hasn't written that he'd like to? And his answer was, off the top of my head, I can't think of any major Marvel characters I haven't written, he said. I mean, in a practical sense, writing a character doing a guest appearance is easy, but getting into their head and get into their heart, defining their life is very hard. There's a lot I would like to
I mean, I can understand getting stuck with he's basically saying he got typecast.
Yeah,
He was typecast as the mutants guy.
You there? Are you green? Yes.
I mean, it's hard to make characters and whatnot. Like, imagine trying to figure out in just one sitting what the character's psychology will look like, what the character's looks will look like, what's the backstory like. It must be hard for you, like, as game developers, to try and create a character for your games, wouldn't it?
Yeah, creating unique characters is tricky. I've never really done it, but it's hard to have a unique voice for each character from just my little experiments with writing.
What's the biggest trap you guys have encountered when it comes to writing, making/writing characters?
Well, I think it's hard to. The hardest part is having each character have a voice. I think the next hardest part for me would be coming up with characters who are actually different. Like, they also, when I'm writing, all the characters in my writing tend to sort of blend together, and they all sound the same, which is what I mean by the voice. But then there's, when I'm coming up with characters, why add an extra character when I could do it with this one? And then sometimes I've ended up with multiple characters who basically fit the same role. Have you done any writing, Devi?
I have as well. I mean, the hardest part is trying to make each character distinctive. Because, you can get into a flow of writing everyone the same. So that's probably, the hardest thing I'd say. You gotta, it's the hardest thing you gotta always watch out for when you're writing, which I understand. When you're writing that many movie scripts as possible, you can just get into a flow. A bad flow. A good flow would be writing more differently, but that's difficult depending on how complex their personalities are.
Yeah. So a couple more other questions were also asked to Chris Claremont as well. One of them was asked about some of his fondly remembered Claremontism, like the focused totality, my power. Totality, my powers. He talked about comics exclamations in general, so it's basically probably not as much as I used to, but I suspect the advantage of not being on a monthly or bi-monthly deadline means I can proofread a little more enthusiastically than I did back then. I'm just going through a story here with a new anthology that Sean Chen and I are working on, throwing out repetitive words here and there, making more expletives, a little more palatable. After that 150,000th times Luke Cage says "Sweet Christmas!" ! You really want to try find a better way of expressing frustration, which of course means going uptown in New York and hear what people say. He continued, "It's sort of like going around and saying "Sweet Caesar" or "Holy cow." It was a more innocent day, and we really did not know what we're talking about. I don't know.
Yeah, I reckon it's good to have a bit of extra time to let things marinate.
Yeah.
Do an extra couple of editing passes, come up with some more interesting things for them to say.
Then Claremont was also asked an important question. So when asked about whether the plot should drive characters or characters drive the plot, Claremont gave an easy answer. His answer was, stories derived from characters are more fun. Plots can be predictable. It doesn't mean that they have value or can be fun. It's just that if you're building off a character, you can catch the reader by surprise because the writer can be caught by surprise. If it's just, how are we going to break into this vault? It's been there, done that kind of thing. How many times can Galactus take over the world before it becomes repetitive? And he continues on saying, I'm reading over Marvel-made anthology where Rachel confronts her time as a hound while trying to save the world, he continues. There's a full page and double spread sequence where John Romita Jr. Just blew off the walls of the building. It's wonderful looking at it, but it's all about the characters and the relationships between them and the choices made all the way. While Rachel goes up all her friends and asks them to save the world and asks them to die, they all said yes, knowing that they won't come back. And they trust her and say yes. But Rachel has doubts along the way. Am I psychotic? What if I'm wrong? I'm killing my friends. I'm destroying my family. Is this the right thing to do?
Just teenage angst. Get over it and kill everyone.
And he ends it by saying, to me, this is storytelling, he concludes. Instead of giving readers the cliche of fight, it's like, what's going on beneath the hood? What's going on with Spider-Man or his relationship with MJ? The Fantastic Four trying to keep themselves from growing broke. That to me is cool stuff, We all know, at least in the days of Comics Code, the heroes will win every time. But there's a lot more that can go beneath the surface during the fight, after the fight, that readers might find interesting. And as a writer, that's the ocean I want to fish in. And I figure, egotistically, that if I'm having fun, then the readers are too.
That's a good thought.
That's a good way to go about things.
That's true. But in terms of, that's the interesting thing. Like, I try and compare that logic to manga logic, and I think manga has done that a lot more. Now when I think about it.
Oh, wait, what were you saying that?
Like trying to explore the characters in terms of like the before the fight and after the fight, and how they what's the inspiration before the fight. Like look at
I think it depends on the genre.
Yeah,
because like a lot of shonen anime, manga, and stuff like that, they also put slice of life elements in.
Yeah,
I mean there is some that are just purely action based, but like if it has a slice of life genre tag to it, then it gives more depth into the behind the scenes of the character.
Yeah. Anyways, we should move along. Debbie boy, what have you been playing?
No One Yakuza.
Oh, nice.
No One Yakuza Kimoi 2. I've always finished it, but there's so many side quests, man. I can't. It takes forever. Gotta see everything.
How many percent of the game have you finished, basically?
90%, basically. Getting very close.
Have you encountered any flaws during the last few days of play?
No, I think it's still what I had last time. I can't remember exactly what it was, but I think it was 5 out of 5. But it is insanely good. It's very fun.
So Professor, what have you been playing?
Metro Exodus.
Oh, nice.
No, I'm messing with you. I haven't decided to get around to the DLC yet. I've been playing Noita. Noita is I think it's made in Finland because the enemies have Finnish names. You can tell because it's got lots of K's in it. But do you remember games like Powder Toy?
Yes.
It's that, but as a magic roguelite.
Okay.
So you play as some sort of wizard with some wands, and you can find there's basically infinite combinations of wands. You can edit them, add more spells and stuff. Some of them explode, so you can tunnel. It's basically it's got some really nice digging mechanics, and all the liquids and stuff are really fun to play with. So if you set something on fire, it will burn. And if you can fill a jug with oil and throw it at an enemy and set them on fire. Or you can summon a rain cloud to put out a fire. Use your water jug to dilute toxic slime. So it's kind of like if you took the elements of a falling sand game like Powder Toy and added roguelite to it.
Well, interesting trivia.
I'm like, sorry. I'm just so confused about how the roguelite works into the concept.
Okay, so there's a randomly generated map, and you explore that and fight the enemies and collect different ones.
Okay.
You can then interact with the map by using your powers.
Oh, okay.
So it doesn't all collapse straight away.
I see the comparison to Powder Toy now.
Yeah, so sand will flow if you dig a hole underneath it. But not everything will collapse. So there's rocks, treasures. You can find giant tanks of whiskey, which will get you drunk if you jump in them and drink them.
Interestingly, the graphics. Interestingly, the graphics reminds me of Lyrio.
Lyrio, isn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's kind of similar to that, but with more advanced physics.
Yeah.
I really recommend it if you're into roguelites, because it's just really fun just, going into a map and running around, blowing stuff up, fighting enemies. Because a big fight in a particular cavern will affect the land around you.
So are there any flaws that you've encountered in this game?
Yes. It's hard to tell what things do, because a lot of things are written in Finnish, and it follows the roguelite tradition of not actually telling you anything until you find out for yourself, which isn't necessarily a bad thing, but I know that's not to some people's taste.
Any other flaws?
No, actually, it went 1.0 recently, and I think it's pretty solid. There's not any bugs that I've run into that I can think of, except for the spiders.
What do the spiders do to you?
Oh, they're actually not too bad. They're just tiny little spiders that jump at you.
Oh, I see.
Not like the ones in Metro that crawl over your face.
So we have a bit of a thing for spiders in the show.
Yeah, well, I've realized that you don't like spiders, and I'm going to take every opportunity to mention them.
Oh, God damn it.
Kill him with fire. Kill him with fire.
Yes, you can do that in this game.
Yes, just get to...
Just turn the entire cave into fire. Use an oil jug, throw it in there, and ignite it, and kaboom.
I've been playing Eternal Return Black Survival. It sounds like a mouthful.
It is a mouthful.
So it's a combination of MOBA, Battle Royale, and survival. But you got the MOBA section is basically you can select your character. The Battle Royale part is you craft stuff and you make stuff just to upgrade your character. So it's not like at the start of a MOBA you go to this store and you got enough coins and you can buy that cool material. This one is basically you make it yourself and you have to forage every bit of the map just to make like a weapon or something or anything like that. And survival is basically last man standing.
The classic.
Yep.
So Fortnite.
Oh, not really. The graphic style for this one just reminds me of League of Legends.
Okay. So cartoony-ish.
Yeah, and it's written and it's made in Korean as well.
Oh.
And you can in classic MOBA fashion, you also have animals to hunt as well. You also have special techniques as well. So yeah, it's a fun game, but the problem is like not many people play this though. Like in terms of local servers, like for example, if you're playing in Dota, like it doesn't go to like the server that has like a lot of people and play it. It's just a random server, and I think some of them are bots, but yeah.
Yeah.
That's the hard thing with a lot of online games that have big communities.
And bots are, decent enough that you're probably not going to notice that it's not a real player these days. In fact, there's a little bit of an argument for making multiplayer games without multiplayer. Because why would you play League and get abused by your teammates when you could play League without teammates?
Have it play League when you control everyone else. Bot 34, you're really starting to piss me off. I'm going to make you die. Clicks delete.
Yeah, the trash talking's just not the same.
Yeah, I know. But yeah, this game's a fun game to check out if you're interested in some MOBA style Battle Royale games. If you want to take a break from Fortnite, this will be one of those games. So on to our shoutouts. On the 30th November 2020, the 30th anniversary of the Sega Mega Drive was released in Europe. So in 1990, it was distributed as the Mega Drive by Virgin Mastertronic in Europe. In the United Kingdom and Republic of Ireland, it was priced at £189.99. The first shipment of 30,000 units was sold at retailers Comet, Dixon's, Rumble Rouse, and Toys R Us. The port of arcade titles like Altered Beast, Golden Axe, and Ghost and Ghouls available in stores at launch provided a strong image for the console's power to deliver an arcade-like performance. Good times. That was a good console.
It's funny how back then they wanted to be like arcades, but modern games are so completely removed from arcades.
Yeah.
Just a bit of an example of the development of gaming.
On the 30th November 2020, the 20th anniversary of PlayStation 2 is released in Australia. The PS2 is a home video game console developed and marketed by Sony Company Entertainment. It is the successor of the original PlayStation, as well as the second installment of the PlayStation console lineup. Over 2 million PlayStation 2 consoles have been sold in Australia to date. Sony Australia reported that 20 to 25 PS2 titles will be released for launch in Australia coming November 30th, with a total of 40 games coming out at the end of the year. Our objective is to have much stock as possible available before we launch PlayStation 2 in Australia, as feedback from consumers indicate there will be a strong demand for the new computer entertainment system, says Michael Eprin, Managing Director of SCE Australia.
Gee, shame they didn't take that thought on to the PS5.
See, PS5 games, like, for example, one of the first games that came out, Godfall, it was just basically, ooh, look at the next-gen graphics, and that's it.
No, I mean the whole thing about keeping it in stock.
Yeah, that too.
What stock?
Oh yeah, what stock? Have you heard the latest one with apparently like people are now robbing vans to get PS5s?
Honestly, it's so stupid though, because like, I know, okay, get the new console, great, but it has no value right now of how little games it has. It's like, just wait, guys. Calm.
Also, I bet Sony keeps track of each serial number that gets stolen. So, you know, you ever log into that with your PSN account that's got your address on it.
And my personal favorite is apparently some man, he paid like $900 for a PS5 on eBay, and he got a cinder block for it.
Yeah, it was about like a couple weeks ago now, wasn't it? Like tons of people are buying PS5s online. Actually, I saw a day someone paid like $500 for PS5 with it lives on eBay. PS5 image, photo, paper image. In the description and the title, very clearly saying it was an image. Someone bought $500.
Oh my god.
People are just that desperate, man.
Oh god. All right, and on the 1st of December 2020, the 25th anniversary of Worms on the Amiga. So Worms is a 2D artillery tactical video game developed by Team 17 and released in 1995. It's the first game in the Worms series of video games. It is a turn-based game where player controls a team of worms against another team of worms that are controlled by a computer or human opponent. Worms was the brainchild of Andy Davidson, a then unknown computer shop employee and a fan of Amiga microcomputers, who began work on the project in 1990 under the name Artillery, based on the previous tank games from the 8-bit era, using a Casio graphing calculator as an experiment for his amusement. Davidson renamed this project from Artillery to Total Wormage, possibly in reference to Midway's Total Carnage, featuring 55,000 levels, and publication compared it to both Lemmings and Cannon Fodder due to its visual style and thematic, which Team 17 project manager Marcus Dyson said Cross was planned from start. The object and landscape sets used to generate the fields are arranged in thematic include forests, Martian terrain, beaches, and hell. It was a financial success, and the sales had reached 250,000 copies following its release in 1995. It was included as one of the titles in the 2010 book 1001 Video Games You Must Play Before You Die. That was a fun game. Onto our remembrances. 30th November 1761, John Dolland, a English optician known for his successful optics business and his patenting and commercialization of achromatic doublets. In 1758, he published an account of some experiments concerning the different frangibility of light, describing the experiments that led him to the achievement with which his name is specially associated, the discovery of means of constructing achromatic lenses by combination of crown and flint glasses. In the late 1750s, Bass told Dolland about Hall's design. Dolland saw potential and was able to reproduce them. He died from apoplexy at the age of 55 in London. 30th November 1934, Helene Boucher, a well-known French pilot in the early 1930s who set several women's world speed records, including one which was a world record for either sex. During the 1933 and 1934, she set several world records for women set out. Exceptionally, she held the international male or female record for speed over 1,000 kilometers, which is 621 miles, in 1934. Most of the records were flown in Renault-powered Caudron aircraft, and in June 1934, the Renault company also took her temporarily under contract in order to promote their new Viva Grand Sport. And man, some of the records she made were amazing, like a record high for a woman of 5,900 meters. She also set the international speed over 1,000 kilometers of 409.184 kilometers per hour, and also the woman's distance over the year, and on the same day, speed over 100 kilometers of 412.371 kilometers per hour. She also set a woman's speed record of 445.028 kilometers per hour on the 11th of August. She died from an accident at the age of 26, flying a Caudron C.430 Raphael near Versailles, where the machine crashed into the woods. Posthumously, she was immediately made a Knight of the Legionnaire d'Honneur and was the first woman to lie in state at Les Invalides, where her funeral obsequies were held.
Yeah, it's you'll notice something. People who tend to set world speed records tend to die young. But, this is still a bunch of cool records. Not criticizing her. I'm just pointing out a lot of them die in their 20s.
Yeah. Oh, there was a recent one that I think. There was a MythBusters woman that did a speed record. She died.
Yeah, one of their temporary hosts when Carrie was on maternity leave.
Yeah.
They had an extra host who died just. We included her in the show notes. She died a year or so ago from a high-speed car crash in a record attempt.
Yeah, and then they posthumously gave her that record. Yeah.
I mean, is there any requirement that you're alive when you make the speed?
No, not really.
I have an idea to get my name in the books.
On the 30th November 2003, Gertrude Erdely, American competition swimmer, Olympic champion, and former world record holder in 5 events. On the August 6, 1926, she became the first woman to swim across the English Channel. Other nicknames, the press called her the Queen of the Waves. In 1925, Erdely turned professional. The same year, she swam 22 miles from Battery Park to Sandy Hook in 7 hours and 11 minutes, a record time which stood for 81 years before being broken by Australian swimmer Tammy Van Weiss. The successful channel swim, this time training with coach Bill Burgess, who had successfully swum the channel in 1911, began approximately 1 year up as Cape Gris Nez in France at 7:08 in the morning of August 6, 1926. So she swam ashore at Kensdown, Kent, 14 hours and 34 minutes later. Her record stood until the 1950s, which was at 13 hours and 20 minutes. She wore motorcycle goggles to protect her eyes from salty water, and but that didn't work because her goggles sealed with paraffin to render them watertight. And she did the second attempt, and the second attempt was really cool, was really interesting because when she finished as she was swimming, her trainer was going like, "Hey Gertie, you must come out," which the swimmer lifted her head from the choppy waters and replied, "What for?" The first person to greet her was a British immigration officer who requested a passport from the bleary-eyed, waterlogged teenager. She was actually 20 and not a teenager. She died at the age of 98 in Wyckoff, New Jersey. Famous birthdays. In the 30th of November 1756, Ernest Chladni. That's such a bad name. Ernest Florenz Frederick Chladni, German physicist and musician. Most important work for which was labeled the father of acoustics, including research on vibrating plates and calculations on the speed of sound for different gases. He also undertook pioneering work in the study of meteorites and is regarded some as the father of meteorotics. Chladni's technique first published in 1787 in his book Entdeckungen über die Theorie des Klangs, which is the translation for Discoveries in the Theory of Sound, consisted of drawing a bow over a piece of metal which surface was lightly covered with sand. The plate was bowed until it reaches resonance, where the vibration causes the sand to move and concentrate along the nodal lines where the surface still outlined the nodal lines. He was born in Wittingen, Saxony, which is now known Wittenberg, Saxony-Anhalt, Germany. On the 30th November 1835, Mark Twain. Samuel Langhorne Clemens, known by his pen name Mark Twain, was an American writer, humorist, entrepreneur, publisher, and lecturer. He was lauded as the greatest humorist the United States has produced, and William Faulkner called him the father of American literature. His novels included The Adventures of Tom Sawyer and its sequel, The Adventures of Huckleberry Finn, the latter often called the greatest American novel. Twain's last work was his autobiography, which he dictated and thought would be the most entertaining if he went off on whims and tangents in most non-chronological order. Some archivists and compilers have rearranged the biography into a more conventional form, thereby eliminating some of Twain's humor and flow of the book. The first volume of the autobiography, over 736 pages, was published by the University of California in 2010, 100 years after his death, as Twain wished. It soon became an unexpected bestseller, making Twain one of the few authors publishing new best-selling novels in the 19th, 20th, and 21st century. He was born in Florida, Missouri. That is awesome. Imagine getting your work done after 100 years after your death.
Is that who's the lady who wrote To Kill a Mockingbird?
Harper Lee.
Yeah, because they released the second part of that book.
Oh, yeah.
Ghost had a Watchman.
Ghost had a Watchman.
She never really wanted that one to come out, I think.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah. On the 30th November 1929, Joan Jans Cooney, American television producer. She's one of the founders of Sesame Workshop, formerly Children's Television Workshop or CTV, the organization famous for the creation of the children's television show Sesame Street, which was also co-created by her. In 1966, Cooney hosted what she called a little dinner party at her apartment near Grand Macy Park. In attendance was her then-husband Tim Cooney, her boss Louis Friedman, and Lloyd Morissette, an executive at Carnegie Corporation, in which the potential of television to teach young children was discussed. Cooney was chosen to oversee and direct the creation of what eventually became the children's television program Sesame Street, which premiered in 1969, and the CTW, the organization that oversaw its production. Sesame Street premiered on PBS on November 10, 1969. Its first season, the show won 3 Emmy, a Peabody, and was featured on the cover of Time magazine. She was born in Phoenix, Arizona. Onto our events of interest. 30th November 1934, the LNER Class A34472 Flying Scotsman became the first steam locomotive to be authenticated as reaching 100 miles per hour. While the Great Southern Western locomotive city of Truro had previously been unofficially timed at running in excess of 100 miles per hour, which is 160.9 kilometers per hour, 4472 became the first steam locomotive to be officially authenticated at the speed on 30th November 1934. The LNER Class A34472 Flying Scotsman has set records and traveled the world. The rail industry in the 1920s and 1930s was competing the new roadways for passengers, meaning that keeping up a reputation for speed and efficiency was extremely important. On the 30th November 1954, in Sylacauga, Alabama, the Hodges meteorite crashes through the roof and hits a woman taking an afternoon nap, with this the only documented case in the Western Hemisphere of a human being being hit by a rock from space. The Silakuga meteorite is the first documented extraterrestrial object to have injured a human being. The grapefruit-sized fragment crashed through the roof of a farmhouse, bounced off a large wooden console radio, and hit Hodges while she napped on a couch. The 34-year-old woman was bruised on one side of her body but was able to walk. The event received worldwide publicity. The meteorite was confiscated by the Silakuga police chief, who then turned it over to the Air Force.
Yep. How unlucky would you have to be?
I mean, what are the odds of getting hit by that? There must be like 1 in how many billion?
Well, considering this is the only documented case, a lot.
On the 30th November 1982, Michael Jackson's 6th solo studio album, Thriller, is released worldwide, ultimately to become the best-selling record album in history. Thriller was released on November 30th, 1982 by Epic Records and internationally by CBS Records. It peaked at number 1 on Billboard's top LPs and tapes chart in February 26, 1983. Thriller sold 1 million copies worldwide per week at its peak. It is the 6th best-selling album in the UK. By the end of 1983, Thriller has become the world's best-selling album, having sold 32 million copies. It remains the best-selling album of all times, having sold over 66 million copies worldwide. Billie Jean, not my lover. Sorry, I'm sorry.
That's right. YouTube is coming after you. You shall be banned.
Hey, I love the song. Hey, it was
How
good.
dare you recite the lyrics? We'll find you.
The 30th November 2002, Interceptor Force 2 premiered on television. The feature, a sequel to 1999 sci-fi channel telefilm Interceptor plot. In the not-too-distant future, a new team of hostile alien encounter. When an alien scout ship crashes in eastern Russia, Sean Lambert and his elite force are dispatched to investigate. They come face to face with a seemingly invincible 7-foot-tall shape-shifting foe hell-bent on blowing up a Russian nuclear power plant in an effort to destroy mankind through a nuclear winter. The stakes become personal when an alien discovers it was Lambert who killed its mate 4 years ago. A major battle ensues as the Interceptor team look to save the Earth from alien annihilation. Though the film is ostensibly based in Russia, all of its soldiers were wearing Bulgarian uniforms. So that's all we have for this week. You can find us on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter. You can also find us on that'snotcanon.com, where we have an archive of our old episodes. And you can also find some new That's Not Canon podcasts, such as...
Have you seen Twin Peaks?
No.
Twin Peaks?
No, Twin Peaks. It's a new That's Not Canon podcast
Okay.
where 3 siblings review 2 movies and pick one winner.
Oh.
And I like their banner. It's got the twins from The Shining with like Coke and popcorn from the movies outside a movie theater.
So no wonder. It definitely was a reference to the Twin Peaks. It makes sense now.
No, Twin Peaks is David Lynch.
No, but it's like they're reviewing movies and stuff.
Oh,
so it's
yeah, that makes sense.
They got me. They got me hooked already.
Come play with us. Come play with us.
What? Oh.
Yeah, that's all we have. Stay hydrated, take care of yourselves, and see you next time.
Bye-bye.
We'll see you next week.